What is a CISO? What is a world-class CISO? And I want you to just read articles, read books, watch videos, just really immerse yourself in this topic. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to this week's edition of Life of a CISO with yours truly, Dr. Eric Cole. I hate to admit this, but this is my favorite time of the day or the week, depending on when I'm doing a recording. So I just get so excited. I get just so pumped. And it's funny, my staff even comments, they're like, Eric, you're always in such a good mood after you get done recording your Life of a CISO episodes. And it's funny because I always like to think I'm this happy guy that's always in a good mood. But those of you that know me, and I know some of you do who watch this, could just shake your head and go, no, that guy's got some insanity in him, right? He's a little crazy. But it's funny because sometimes my staff will come up to me and they're like, Eric, don't you think you should go record an episode of Life of a CISO? And at first I didn't get it. I was like, no, I'm good. I did it the other day. I'm good. They're like, no, Eric, you need to go record an episode of Life of a CISO. And then I'm like, oh, you're telling me I'm not in my happy place, right? You're telling me I'm on the struggle bus, right? And I need some happy time with my friends, right? That's all of you for joining me. So I do truly enjoy this. I hope you get value out of this. My goal on every episode is that at the end of the 30 minutes, you're looking at things a little differently. You have a different idea, a different perspective, a different way of approaching stuff. That's what I try to give you. And it's all focused on being world-class CISO. As you know, if you want to be average, bye-bye, that's not for me. If you want to push the limits and go world-class, right, that's what we're about here. And what's interesting is being world-class CISO means that you got to be world-class in many other areas of your life. So I'll sometimes give analogies or talk about other areas, whether it's exercise, family, communication, or those things. And I'll sometimes get people go, Eric, what are you doing? I went in and popped into one of your episodes of Life of a CISO, and you had nothing to do with a CISO. And I said, really? I said, listen again. And they're like, no, Eric, I did. It had nothing to do with a CISO. And I'm like, okay, you've completely missed the point, because let me give you the secret of life. Ready? And there's many secrets, so I'm not saying this is the only secret, but one of the most important secrets of life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. They all come together. So let me tell you right now, and I think I shared this on one of the previous episodes, but when I'm hiring engineers for my company, and I need my engineers to be focused, organized, and structured, because my engineers are not only security engineers that deliver assessments, but they also have to interface with clients. They also have to manage schedules. They also have to plan and set up meetings. And so there's a program management piece, there's an organizational piece, there's a technical piece. And to me, in addition to having that knowledge, it is critical that they are organized, structured, neat, and basically maintain all the records correctly. So when I go in, and I always like to meet all of the engineers before I hire them, I'll always go to a restaurant, and when we finish the restaurant, I'll always walk them out to their car. I'll be like, no, I just want to walk you out to your car and stuff. Now, those of you, if any of you interview, you know what I'm doing, right? So I'm giving away some of my mojo, but it's okay. And I walk you out to your car, and I just want to glance into your back seat for 5 seconds. Now, I had somebody once go, but what if there's no back seat? Come on, man. Forest through the trees, right? I'll look in the front seat. But the point is, I want to look in your car for 5 seconds. And that will tell me everything about you in terms of organization, neatness, and structure. Because I'll tell you right now, if I look in the back of your car and there are McDonald's bags that look like they were there from 3 years ago, and there's sweaty gym clothes, and there's all sorts of, once again, I'm not here to judge, right? You be you, right? And enjoy life. But to me, if that's how you keep your car, you are not an organized person, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you can get mad at me, you can argue, you can debate, but we all know the truth, right, at the end of the day. So to me, that's one of the best ways that I can go in and get insight into whether you really are a structured, organized, neat person or not. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're an organized, structured, neat person and your car had old clothes, McDonald's, or other factors, you would not tolerate it. You would not be able to handle it, right? And you would clean it up very, very quickly, and you would have a very clean, neat car. So it's those things that are so important. So remember, if you're a seasoned watcher, and thank you for that, that it's really about coming at this CISO from every angle possible. And sometimes I'll talk directly about CISO and strategy, like this episode is going to be much more laser focused. Other ones, it might seem like a tangent to you if I'm talking about communication and relationships. But in reality, if you can't communicate with your kids, if you can't communicate with your neighbors, if you can't communicate with your spouse, you're going to have a hard time communicating with the board, with the other executives, and with people within your organization. And one of the most critical skills of a CISO is communication. So if you are the type of person that you're much more introvert, you'd much rather sit in a room, look at alerts, monitor, detect attacks in a security operations center at 2 a.m., and you really don't like interacting or communicating with people, then I would highly, highly recommend that you stick to being a world-class security engineer. Because one of the key skills that's needed to be a world-class CISO, you don't like. Now, if you like it, but you just don't have it, that's different, right? If you go, Eric, I love communicating, I love engaging, I'm just not as good as I should be because I've been locked in a SOC at 2 a.m. for the last 4 years. That's great. You can fix that and adjust that, but I just want to make sure what you like and enjoy is aligned with being a world-class CISO. Now, I get a lot of questions, and this comes up both YouTube, email, and with my coaching clients of sort of this idea of, Eric, if I'm not a CISO, how do I become a CISO? Right? This idea and this false data point, which is people will only hire if you have experience. That is the biggest hunk of lie ever produced. And let me explain. If that was true, then nobody would ever get a job. If somebody's out of medical school and the only way they would hire them as a doctor, if they actually were a doctor, well, guess what? They weren't a doctor because they just graduated from medical school, which means somebody had to give them their first chance at being a doctor. Now, something I never like to think about, but it is the reality, is airplane pilots. Somebody, maybe it was you, was in the back of the plane when a pilot flew for the very first time. Right now, yes, they went through simulators, they flew empty jets, they did all that stuff, but I'm telling you that every pilot on this planet had their first commercial flight. And an airline gave them that opportunity. So if airlines only hired experienced pilots, then you would have this huge, huge pool of people that graduated from pilot school that can't get a job because somebody had to give them their first job, right? So just always keep in mind that this idea that if you're not or you haven't done it, you can't get hired to do it, it's just not true. And the best news I can give you when we're talking about a CISO is right now, because it's a fairly new position, there's not many people that actually have it as a title. So that's actually good news. Now, I'm going to give two different pieces of advice that might seem a little contradictory, so just play with me here. So if you're an existing CISO, if you actually have been a CISO, you have the position, you've had the title, you're golden. Because the mere fact that you've done it means that other companies will hire you to do it for them. Now, what you need to look at, if you're an existing CISO, is do you really enjoy it? And what is your turnover? Because I was coaching an existing CISO. They were a CISO for 5 different companies over the last 3 years. Yes, do the math. Pretty much every 6 to 9 months, they left the company. So their last 5 companies, every one of them, they were there for less than a year. That highlights some problems for me because it's a couple things. One is, it's one thing if you take a job that you might not really love, but you want the title and experience for a year or 2, and then you decide to leave. But if you're switching jobs every 6 to 9 months, unless they're going out of business or your contractor or certain reasons there, to me, that's telling me there's a frustration factor where you're not enjoying it, they're not enjoying it, it's not clicking. Because world-class CISOs, you should be able to operate at a world-class level, whatever company I put you in. Now, it might not directly align with your beliefs or your culture, and you might not love every minute of it, but you should be able to operate in that role at most organizations. So in that particular case, they were very employable. That person could get CISO jobs anytime they wanted. The problem is they weren't enjoying what they were doing because they really wanted to be a world-class security engineer. So there was a huge disconnect in doing that. So I'm always about being happy. And if you love strategy and you love communication and you love running businesses, then absolutely look at being a world-class CISO. Now, for those of you that don't currently have CISO on your CV or resume, got really good news for you. First, and those of you that are existing CISOs, cover your ears. I don't want you to hear this. But I'm having a lot of companies tell me now that they want to bring on somebody in a CISO who's never done it before. Because, and like I said, those that are CISOs, cover yours. It's not true for everyone, but they said a lot of the existing CISOs, because they turn over so quickly and they move on to other jobs, that's not who they want. They're not the effective folks. They want to bring somebody in that's excited and eager and knows strategy, and that they can basically groom, train, and sort of create the position that they want. Now, that's really good news for you, because that means if you don't have it on your CV, you can get it, right? You can absolutely get a job as a CISO. What you got to be careful of is it really a CISO? Because when I hear companies go, oh, we want to tailor or modify it to your unique needs. My question I'm going to ask right away in the interview process is, what is the size of my team and what is the estimated budget? And I'll tell you right now, if they go in, oh, CISO's a brand new position, you're going to have a half a person that works for you that we share with IT, but they also do security, and you're going to have $300K budget a year. That's not a CISO. That's a security engineer that they're pretending is a CISO. You're not going to really be doing the CISO type roles. Now, if you are fully aware and you're okay with that, and you just want to get CISO on your resume, that's okay, but I'll be careful here. It could also pigeonhole you, because if you go in and you say you're the CISO for this company and you start applying to other jobs and they find out, and they could ask, and you don't ever want to lie, and they find out that you basically have a half a person on your team and a $300K budget, they know that's not a CISO. And that can actually hurt you in the long run. So you just want to be careful that getting the 4 letters on your CV, CISO, is good, but don't do it at a quality factor that's going to hurt you later on down the road. Now, my recommendation to every one of you listening is, why aren't you applying for CISO jobs? Oh, but stop. I don't want to hear the excuses, because everyone tells me in 6 months. In 6 months, I'm going to apply for a job. So let's pull on that string for a minute. Why 6 months? Why not 4 months? Why not 3 months? Oh, well, I need these skills. Great. Show me your plan of improvement. Show me what you're going to learn over the next 6 months that will put you in a better position of confidence. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people I talk to, where they're either interested in the coaching or the certification or various services that myself and my company offer. And they'll often tell me, Eric, let's talk in 6 months, because in 6 months I'll be ready. And I'm not a fan of that, and I go through the whole role, but sometimes I'll be like, okay. And almost every single case, when I get back on the phone with them in 6 months, I'm going to ask a simple question. Great, you ready? What did you specifically accomplish over the last 6 months? And most of them go, oh, Eric, you have no idea what happened. And the excuse train pulls into the station and they start unloading. And but Eric, in 6 months from now, I'm focused now. I'm really good. And you know how this game plays, right? So to me, unless you have a really clear plan of action where you're actually going to do things, you're going to go through training, you're going to go through other stuff. And hey, going through my CISO certification, it's a 6-month program. That's a great way to get ramped up to speed. But I even tell folks in that program after 2 months, start applying for jobs. Because let me explain why. There are several things that need to be done for you to become a CISO at a company. And these things can take several months to tune and adjust. So why not do it before you're ready? Because if you want to have a job in 6 months and you wait 6 months to start looking, it'll take you another 6 months. So first and foremost, is your CV, resume, whichever term you like, is it CISO ready? Is it a strategic level CV? Or is it a technical, tactical level CV? Now, I'll tell you, I could look at it, friends could look at it, you could look at it, many people could look at it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Is the company going to look at it? So the first thing you need to start doing is you need to start applying for every CISO position you can find around the country. Heck, around the world. Right? It looks like we're still going to be doing this remote work thing for a while. I think it's going to be the new norm, but that's a different topic for a different day. But the point is, start putting your CV out there, and here's why. If you put your CV out to 20 CISO positions and you get 0 callbacks, you now know that your resume is not CISO grade. It's not doing. Let me help you out here. The sole and only reason for having a CV or a resume is to get an interview. That's its only job. Once you get an interview, you no longer need that CV. The sole purpose of it is for you to blindly submit yourself to a company who does not know you and introduce you in a way that they say, we want to talk to this person. So the first hurdle you need to figure out is, does your CV get the interviews? And if not, you need to fix that. And that could take a couple of months because you got to keep fixing, adjusting, apply to new jobs, fixing, adjusting, apply to new jobs. Here's the other thing you have to remember. This isn't hurting you because companies that are looking for CISOs now aren't going to be looking for a CISO in 6 months. So it's not like this is going to burn a bridge or ruin an opportunity. So first thing I recommend you start doing right away is just start putting that CV out. It doesn't take a lot of time, energy, and effort, and just see the percent of interviews you're getting. If you have and I just want to be, I'm trying to be nice here, but a terrible resume, it's just too technical, it's not strategic at all, you're going to get below 60%. It might even be 0. So if you're putting out 10 or 15 CVs for job applications and you're getting less than 5 interviews, it's bad. And if it's 0 or 1 or 2, it's really, really bad. So you got to fix it. If it's a pretty good CV, then you should be getting between 75 to 85. And if it's just rocking it, I mean, it should be close to 95. I mean, if you have a top-notch CV that, I mean, just it's focused, it's nailing it, it's accurate, you should be getting interview requests for almost every job you apply for. Now, you might not get the job if it's not a good fit, right? But you should be getting pretty close to a 1-to-1 setting that up. So that's first thing. If you want to be world-class CISO, that you got to get under control. You got to start adjusting and adapting. Now, here's the important thing. I'm not saying lie and make up. What I'm saying is change your perspective. Instead of going in and saying, I worked in the security operations center and successfully reduced false positives from 33% to 27% and increased our time to detection by 4%. That's world-class security engineer. Now, let me ask you a question. In doing that, did you have to go in and evaluate different pieces of software? Did you work with a team? Did you have any leadership in that team? Yes. So would it be correct and accurate to say that you oversaw the implementation of enterprise-grade security software, working with a team and successfully integrating it into the current IT environment? Wouldn't that still be correct? It's a different lens, right? It's a different perspective. Now, if you tell me no, great, right? Then let's look at a different angle on it. But you want to go in and basically change everything. If you are a world-class security engineer, you should be rewriting your resume. You're highlighting different. It's not lying. It's not making it up. But I will tell you, a CV that would get you a job as a world-class security engineer is not a CV that will get you a job as a CISO. It's not going to happen. Now, the companies should stay the same. The dates should stay the same. I even recommend in some cases remove the titles, because if the titles are not helpful, if you were a senior security engineer, right, that's not a good title if you want to be a CISO. Now, you did CISO things, right? You did CISO activity. You did strategic business things in doing that, but that doesn't mean that you need to do that. So I would just leave the titles off and just focus on the CISO stuff you did within those different jobs and positions, and then keep tuning it and adjusting it. One of the exercises I went over last week at the very end, and I felt there was a little rush, so I'm gonna just cover it now in a couple minutes because it's a great exercise. Because some of you, I've worked with many of you, brilliant people have trouble thinking differently. So if I tell you, take your current resume, that's world-class security engineer, and rewrite it, you'll have trouble. So what I want you to do is a different exercise. I want you to start researching, what is a CISO? What is a world-class CISO? And I want you to just read articles, read books, watch videos, just really immerse yourself in this topic. And I want you to create a fictitious world-class CISO. So you can even give it a name if you'd like, but I want you to go in and I want you to create a CV based on everything you read. If you had to create the perfect CISO, I want you to write up their CV. What experience would they have? What degrees would they have? Where would they have gone to school? What jobs would they have? What are the positions? And focus really on dialing in what are the job responsibilities and skill sets. Under each of those jobs, what would this world-class CISO have listed? What would be those key characteristics and focus? And this might take you a couple days, just really delve in, ask other people, research, but really make this your primary focus area of you are creating the ultimate fictitious CISO. And you're going to have this CV, and this CV is golden. I mean, it would get every interview out there on the planet. Everybody would want to hire this person. Amazing. Then once it's done, I want you to take a highlighter and I want you to start going through saying, are any of those items applicable to you? So if you have there oversee and managed teams, boom, stop. Have you ever oversee and managed teams? And if you tell me no, I'm going to call BS on you. And let me explain. I have 3 children, a 22-year-old, a 19, and a 16. And I will tell you, every one of them has managed teams. My 16-year-old, I always test things and have fun, and my kids are awesome and amazing. And I was just asking my daughter, in school projects, have you ever led a team? Oh, yeah, I did this. So I'll tell you right now, if a 22, 19, and 16 that are still in college and high school have managed teams, and you're telling me you have never, ever managed a team of people, I think you are either lying in a good way or you are way too critical of yourself, because everybody has. You just got to get a little more creative. So highlight that. And then if it comes down and says, put together financial budgets. Have you ever done that? Yep, highlight that. And what you might be surprised is there's a lot of stuff highlighted. Now, the scope might be different. For example, in your fictitious CISO, you might have gone in and said that they're running a security department of 40 people and a $12 million budget. You might not have those, so don't highlight that. But the fact that you have a team and a budget, the numbers are less important. It's that you have that skill set. And what you'll most likely find is that when you get done, there's a lot more yellow than you realize. You have a lot more of those skill sets than you realize at first glance. Second, and this one you got to be real careful. I want you to take a pink highlighter and I want you to start going through and saying, for the stuff that's not highlighted in yellow, because that means you don't have it, which of those things that are not highlighted is critical, you think is a must-have. So it's basically a gap that you currently don't have that you think is needed or required to get a world-class CISO. Now, this should be minimal. You shouldn't be doing hundreds of things. It should be a few. But then figure out what those pink things are. Dig deep. Is there any scenario where you might have some of that? And if the answer is still no, how do you get it? Is there somebody in your current company, if you go in and let's say your world-class fictitious CISO can basically read balance statements, and you can't. You don't know what a profit and loss statement is or a balance sheet is. Is there anyone you know? Does your accountant? Do you have any friends or neighbors that are accountants? Do you know any CFOs? What about in your current company? What about in a previous company? Was there any CFOs you work with? Who can you reach out to be able to learn that skill? Who can you reach out to better understand it? Or are there online courses or books or videos? But notice what you're doing now. You're starting to tailor in on what you have, what you don't have, and then starting to put together that world-class resume. Now, that's first thing. That could take a couple of months. Now you're at the point where you're getting at least an 85% hit rate. So if you put your resume out for 10 jobs, 8 of them want an interview with you. Now, you don't have to take the interview, right? You accomplish phase 1, which is you have a world-class CISO CV. So you got that done. The next thing, which believe it or not is even harder, is now the actual interview. Because now, the interview, you have to go in and speak like a CISO. You have to go in and speak as a business person. You don't want to go in and talk about the technical accomplishments. You want to talk about how cybersecurity is a business enabler, how you can increase the profitability across the organization and the business. I have a whole section in my CISO certification on that. And even some of these previous videos, we touched on it a little bit. We go through that whole process. So now your CV is getting an 85% hit rate. But now you start going on interviews, and now your criteria is getting a callback interview. Because for a CISO position, you're going to need 2 or 3 interviews to get the job. So you're going to want to go back and do that. Then, ideally, you want to get job offers. So you should, for every job you apply for, 85%, you should be getting interviews. And then of that 85%, about 35% of those, you should be getting job offers. So if you submit 10 resumes, you get 8 interviews, you get 3 job offers. That's about standard. So that's what you want to work towards. Now, like I said, even though you're not looking, right? Because wink, wink, we're waiting 6 months, right? Even though you're not looking, what if you got the ultimate offer? What if you got an offer that exceeded every expectation you wanted? Maybe you take it, right? So that's the idea. It's no harm, no foul starting today, but it could be very, very beneficial to you. And some folks, just so you don't get discouraged, getting to those ratios of submitting 10 CVs, 8 interviews, 3 job offers, depending on where you're at, that could take 4 months, that could take 2 years, because these are skills that need to be worked on. So don't get discouraged, but my only point is you are more marketable than you realize. Many companies want people that haven't been a CISO before. You have all the skill sets. The question is, do you want to bet on yourself? Do you believe in yourself enough to make it happen? Because I'll tell you what, I just took 30 minutes out of my day to believe in you and give you some tips and tricks. So you need to believe in yourself, but I'll tell you, don't wait 6 months, don't wait 6 years. Start tomorrow. Start putting together your CV, start putting it out, start going on interviews. And when you get to that ratio of 10 jobs you submitted to, 8 interviews and 3 job offers, then you have optimized the process. And then you can either go full steam ahead, take one of those, or put it on pause. But you need to have those things in place so you can become a world-class CISO. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, if you really believe in yourself and you want to crank it to the next level, sign up for a consultation or sign up for my CISO certification. It's a 6-month program, 40 hours of knowledge transfer, 6 months of group coaching with yours truly and a private peer group. It will change your life, because we've had over 50 plus people go through it, and every one of them said it's worth every penny, and it changed my entire view, and many of them got the job that they wanted within 6 months. So we definitely have that program. I also have Cyber Crisis, which is a great read. If there's anything we can help you with, you can either post a comment below this video or just email me at ecole@secure-anchor.com. And thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing your success story of you becoming a world-class CISO.